But let's go to Nick Kypreos now. 442 NHL games, Stanley Cup champion with the New York Rangers, as we all know. Toronto product, and now the host of The Real Kyper. Look at that podcast. How you doing today, Kyper?
I'm well, Rod. How are you, pal?
Good. You're looking like $1 million. How are you enjoying the podcast?
Well, I'm short of it, but I appreciate it.
Feel like 100, right? How are you liking the podcast thing?
Much better than I thought, to be quite honest with you. I was scared to death to try it, but if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it as best I could. So that meant partnering up with a few people, and I was able to do that with a company, a Canadian company out of Halifax, i3 Interactive, and they're in the online gaming. It's linemovement.com. They wanted me to come in and do some content for them, much like I did on Sportsnet with Hockey Central at noon. So I went out and found Doug McLean, buried under some PEI rocks. And we went daily during the return of hockey, the bubbles in Toronto and Edmonton. And then we'll pick it up when the season starts again. And in the meantime, I'll have some fun doing some interviews, and you can still find me on YouTube.
Yeah, well, it looks great. The content's been amazing. If I may, I think you're better here than on Sportsnet, and you were great there. And the reason I say that is we had Grapes a month ago, and he's loving the podcast. He's no rush to change anything that he's doing because he sounds like Grapes from 25, 30 years ago. And Kyper, don't you realize a little more freedom with what you're doing now than what you were doing?
Without a doubt. And I think, Rod, to be honest with you, that's where the demand is gone in terms of viewership and how they want it, how they want to hear it. Everybody says that it's more authentic than ever before when it comes to podcasts and YouTube channels. You get more of the real deal. And I get it, because I was caught up in that corporate world where, on many occasions, you don't have the freedom to really stretch out how you feel based on, corporate commitments, i.e. a partnership between the NHL and, say, Sportsnet. And I get it. I mean, nobody wants anybody to screw over partners, and you're all in it together to make money and to build something. I get all of that, but it was nice to kind of break away from that and start just speaking your mind, if you want to use that term.
Yeah, for sure. Corporate pressures, however you want to say it. Now, did you see when I asked you to come up with your top 7 Canadian NHL teams?
I did.
What do you got?
Well, how do you not put Calgary first, Rod? I mean, Markstrom does that single-handedly. He's a terrific goaltender. He was the MVP of Vancouver. We know Vancouver, as much as you love that young talent in front of a goaltender, they just don't go anywhere without Markstrom. So we'll just shift that over to Calgary and really, I think, put Calgary in a position where they should be able at least to look really solid from top to bottom, much more so than I think other holes around the country. In saying that, if you think Holtby can kind of redeem himself a little bit, then Vancouver should be able to pick up where they left off. I have them second. I'll put Winnipeg and Toronto third and fourth. And then I've got Edmonton, Montreal, and Ottawa. So how's that?
It's almost exactly the same as mine. I knew I liked this guy. But you know what? With Holtby going to Vancouver, here's my thing. The Oilers are my Canadian team. The Golden Knights are my American team. And if I had to put a gun to my head, I'd cheer for Vegas if they were playing Edmonton. But it's been hard for Ken Holland to sell Mike Smith and Koskinen when even the fans knew they wanted somebody better. I was hoping Holtby would go to Edmonton, and maybe they couldn't make it fit.
Well, there's no question that Holtby's under a lot of pressure, and I would have liked that pressure on Holtby in Edmonton to really turn it around. And you assume that Demko's the goaltender of the future, but is it an immediate future? Is this just a pit stop for Holtby to get to Seattle? So that's what he's hoping for. He's still hoping for that long-term contract that he didn't get out of Washington. And he's going to have to work his ass off to do it in Vancouver. But I'm with a lot of people in saying that Mike Smith is going to have a very, very big challenge in front of him to win over Edmonton fans who will have him on a very short leash.
Yeah, you know what, Kyper? I was defending him all year because I'm a goalie guy, and it got to around February. I'm like, I can't defend him anymore. He was letting in soft goals, and it's tough. And Koskinen wasn't a whole lot better. But just shifting gears on that, I'm not sure the goalies are your thing. The Leafs are. You're alum. Some Sportsnet pundits have the Leafs number one, and maybe talent-wise they are. But I'm just saying, you guys got to do something.
Remember, they own 37% of the team, too, Sportsnet and TSN. So they know, and I wrote this in my book, they know where their bread's buttered, and that's with the Leafs. So no question that they're going to get a lot of the attention again. I don't know how much they improved with bargain basement prices of $750 to $1 million. And we know Joe Thornton's going to go to the Hall of Fame. And we know that he's got some value with the younger players, but how much of an impact can he have on the ice? The knees have always been a challenge the last few years in San Jose, and so is the speed of the game. So is he going to play power play? If he is, how much time is he going to get on it? And is he able to control maybe the half wall like he has in the past with San Jose? All those questions, but he is getting long in the tooth. I think it just shows a little bit how much pressure there is on Kyle Dubas to win and win now by picking up a guy like Joe Thornton.
I can't imagine that was part of the Shanna plan, Joe Thornton. But Kyper,
that's Shanna plan part B.
Exactly. Okay, the fun stuff. Okay, to me, you'll always be a Ranger. And you wear the ring. I love the fact that you do on TV all the time. And you play for the Leafs. Well, original sixes teams. You had a charmed existence, if you will, in the NHL. I think you would agree. I mean,
without a doubt. And I hope I come across that way, Rod, in my book, because the stars have to be aligned. And sometimes we put too much on. Oh, that guy, he never won a cup. Therefore, he's no good. And it's like, that's not the way it works. It works that it's you got to be in the right place at the right time. And although a lot of difficult challenges happened in my life, I ultimately found myself in good places, even though it didn't appear that way at the beginning.
Yeah, well, you also got to work your ass off. And the title of your book is Undrafted, which, frankly, I would have never known that you were undrafted. Do you get into those tough stories?
Yeah, a lot of people talk, and I say I was never drafted, and they were like shocked. They're like, no, you scored 62 goals in North Bay. You were a top goal scorer in junior. How did you not get drafted? And back then, I was eligible for the draft at 18, but I was only coming off a year where I had a dozen goals. And then I got invited to Philly's training camp as a free agent amongst 20 of us, vying for one contract. And I go through it in the book where Bobby Clark, pulls me in his office and says, I invited 20 guys. I want to give one contract away. And who do you think I want to give it to? And I named 3 other guys in camp who I thought looked pretty good. And he basically said, no, you knucklehead, it's you. So that's the way it kind of started out for me. But the book's all about finding different ways to get to the same destination. And that's National Hockey League for a career. And ultimately, you hope and pray that you're on a team that can win a Stanley Cup. That's the dream.
You know what the best thing about these autobiographies like that is? They aren't just stories. They're how-to books to persevere. Wouldn't you agree, Strusy? Like that? Yeah, I can't wait to get my hands on Undrafted. And I don't assume that was your goal when you were putting it together, was it?
Well, I wanted to call it It's All Greek to Me, because that's the way it felt at sometimes. But they didn't let me. They went with Undrafted. But the first chapter is, basically talks about, the challenges of coming from a different country. And we know that's a big part of what Canada is. My dad and my mom were no different. The only ice my dad knew was in a drink. And he just let me fall in love with the game. He fell in love with the game early, but it was never pushed upon me. I just remember watching him watch the Leafs growing up, or having that effect of certain heroes like Bobby Baun or Dave Keon, Norm Allman, those type of guys for him. And I just picked up that vibe and started at age 7. But a lot of it is my ability to kind of love the game through the eyes of my dad, who came over from Greece at age 17.
My wife's Greek, by the way. Her maiden name is Chakis. Looks like Tsakis. So every time she sees you on TV, she's like, "Oh, there's the Greek boy. He's good. He's
Well,
good."
there you go.
Hey, how's things?
She's going to love Chapter 1 grown up Greek then.
Oh, yeah, she lived it. As I see you played in OJ plus the O, the leagues haven't changed a ton really now since then. How do you feel about major junior players being loaned to junior A teams? Because it is hella big news out here right now. A lot of people don't like it.
Well, I think once we kind of opened it up, 20, 30 years ago, it really opened up our eyes to the big business of now even junior hockey. And a lot of people say, no, that's still development, and the development should come within your community. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, but when it comes to ultimately who makes the decisions and who's benefiting it and whose money's on the line and who could lose money, that will always take over. Ultimately, the fans, do they want to see the best players that they can from wherever, whatever walk of life you come from, the European side, East Coast, West Coast, South, North? Ultimately, if you buy a ticket, you ultimately decide. If you stop buying tickets, then maybe something will get done about it. But until that happens, they're just going to go out there and try to get the best hockey players they can wherever they can.
For sure. And life's about perspective. If you're one of those major junior players, you're going to want to play. If you're one of those junior A players that's paying to play, it depends which side of the cookie you're on, don't you think?
Yes, but it's always ultimately what's in it for me.
What did we say last hour?
Oh, yeah.
Thought we were all in it together.
Yeah, until my bottom line's on the line.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, a quick story on the Rangers, if you don't mind. Just a special time. They've got Lafreniere there. Now, what's your best story of playing in Manhattan, winning the Cup in '94, Richter, Mess, all the boys?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Can you give me one that stands out?
Well, yeah, it was kind of slowing down after, a few days of heavy partying. And, we had a lot of guys go back home because it was late. It was really late in June. And as much as everybody wanted to celebrate, they all wanted to go back to their respective hometowns. I stuck around as long as I could, man. I milked it as much as I could in New York City. One of my best memories in the book is thinking I was going to have a nice quiet day, maybe get a haircut. And Mark Messier calls me up and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to go get a haircut." He says, "Too bad. We're going to go throw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. Wanted to know if you wanted to come with us." I'm like, "I'll cancel my haircut." Spent the day with the New York Yankees in the clubhouse. Went through a kangaroo court with the likes of Wade Boggs and Don Mattingly, and had a fantastic little kid kind of moment being with the New York Yankees. And of course, the Blue Jays didn't come in until 1977. So prior to that, we were all New York Yankee fans.
Yeah, no kidding. That is, that's New York lore. And you're part of it, man. So I've been waiting a long time to do this interview. Kipper, we'll let you go, but I appreciate it. I can't wait to get your book and continued success with what you're doing there.
Well, we're trying a few different things. I'm in the alcohol business, too. We started a company called Little Buddha Cocktail Company in the LCBO here, and we want to push it out west. So look for it soon.
I was in the alcohol business too, but I retired. But I'll certainly help you get the word out with that.
All right, Rod. Thank you so much for your time. You're doing a great job. Love the show.
Same to you. Thank you, Kyper. The real Kyper, Nick Kypreos, joining us from Toronto today, talking sports.
God, I love hockey stories.
How awesome is he?
I love them.
I will cancel my haircut.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.